I'm Julie Legg, author of The Missing Piece and diagnosed with ADHD at 52. Welcome to ADH Difference. In this episode, I chat with Upton Rand. He was diagnosed with ADHD at 6. He's from Ohio and he's an author and business owner. We chat about the highs and lows of ADHD, his personal journey, friendships, relationships, and seeing ADHD as a difference rather than a disorder. Upton, it is lovely to have you on board today. Thank you so much for taking the time out to chat.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are most welcome. Well, we have lots to talk about. So let's start at the very beginning of your early diagnosis with ADHD at age 6, I understand.
Yeah, I was just a little kid, and I knew I was a little bit different, and it was difficult for me to sit still, but I never heard of ADHD. Like, I didn't know what that was. I did. It was weird though. Like, coming up, there was like the Ritalin generation, in like my grade and class, and it was like everyone was on Ritalin, and it really like took off. So, I was having problems concentrating. My grades weren't good. So my mom worked at a hospital, and she made me an appointment, and I don't remember a lot of it, but I do remember going in and sitting in a room with a bunch of doctors and playing with blocks. And I loved it. I thought it was so cool because I just got to go in and like play with blocks with these people. Um, and I think my mom said that she took me there like 2 or 3 times. And I have an older brother, he's a year older than me, and you know, she got the phone call, ADHD. So,
Does any other member of your family have ADHD?
oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. So my dad does.
Okay.
I would say my mom does too. It's pretty common in my family. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's everyone's experience. You would probably know better than I would, but it seems to be mine.
It is very, very common for it to be genetic. Yeah,
Mhm.
from one side of the family or the other or both. And of course, there's different types of ADHD as well. The inattentive and the hyperactive, impulsive, but they don't have to be passed down. You can just have
Oh, really?
your own different type. Yeah, absolutely. So
Wow,
the
that's so
ADHD
cool.
comes through. Anyway, enough of that. So you were diagnosed young. So your whole
Yeah.
life you've did you understand what ADHD was? Was it ever explained to you as a young
Yeah,
babe?
so I think like the version they gave it to 6-year old Upton was you just have a hard time concentrating. You're just a little it's just a little hard for you to sit still. You got a tough time concentrating. And I wasn't disagreeing. Even at 6 years old, I was like, I didn't want to be in class either. So, I knew it was difficult for me even back then, and I knew that, something was just a little bit different. Um, so I was just so young when I got diagnosed. It's like you barely even like can speak, and like people are like seeing this in you. So it was kind of surprising, but when you get diagnosed that young, coming up with it's just who you are. It
Yeah,
just becomes part of your identity, and you make it work.
absolutely. And so how did that shape your journey into sort of teens, young adulthood? Um, any surprises along the way?
Yeah. So there are things, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you probably can relate to this, but there are just things that, drive me crazy. Like, it seems like the older I get, the more stuff I get and the more stuff I can lose. So it seems like every day is like a battle with like my car keys. It's me versus the car keys in the morning, and they get up in the middle of the night and they just walk, and they'll hide in random places around my house, and I'll find them and I'll say, "Who put those there?" It's like, I did. So that's really like the biggest challenge, with like just sort of like aging with ADHD. I was like going through all of these major life events that were just kind of tough for anyone, like graduating college, professional things. And it's something that is like very humbling and just sort of like reminds me, like, even though it's like annoying, it's a nuisance, it reminds me like, hey, if this is like the worst thing physically I have going on, I'm in pretty good shape. Like, I'm doing okay. uh but yeah, just growing up, it was the biggest headache for me was just like losing things all the time, and the inability to like keep track of time. As I aged, that was a challenge. I remember one morning, I'd gotten home from work and I took a nap, and I woke up and I looked out the window and I saw that the sun was up, and I heard a garbage truck drive by. So I was like, boom, it's morning. I should be at work. I'm late. So without, looking at the clock, I put my clothing on, I jump in my car and I start speeding to work because I'm supposed to be there at 7 a.m. and my clock said 7. I show up, no one's there. I showed up at 7 o'clock at night. So it's just little crazy things like that, that you're gonna have stories like that if you've got ADHD. Like, they just sort of pack up, and it's every day is an adventure, I guess.
It certainly is. And you've really reframed ADHD as a difference rather than a disorder. And you say it fuels your imagination and your
Yeah.
entrepreneurial sense. Can you share more about that side of things?
So, like a couple years ago, AI came into the marketplace. And as someone with ADHD, I can tell you that I am like an enormously curious person. It's like just random things. Like, I was in the shower just now, and before the we started speaking, and I was saying to myself, I wonder what sort of animals live on Mount Fuji. Like, who does that? Like, just random things. But the difference now is, I don't have to go to a library and like dig through the stacks for like random, zoology books on Mount Fuji. I've got this little voice guy on my phone, and we chat, and we had a conversation about, the wilderness atop Mount Fuji while I took a shower because that's where my ADD mind went. um so in the past, with me, the inability to like focus on one area and like wanting to jump around was very detrimental because I would never complete the tasks. I would start on like 20 things and then be like, I'm tired, I'm going to bed. But now that there's like AI, it really like gives me the freedom to like let my imagination like run wild. Anything I want. So like I was like, I want to design a postcard last night. I don't know how to design a postcard. I don't know what size they are. I don't know what software I need. I don't know how to use the software I need. Um, and that's just where my ADHD head went. The difference was that I had a voice companion with me that did know. So as a result, it went from being kind of like something previously unproductive with ADHD, where I would just sort of like be dreaming and like imagining and wishing, to doing. And like they're now like tangible things now that like everyone has access to these like AI assistants. So it really has given me like the freedom as like a business owner, like to say like, yeah, I don't know how to do this. I have no idea. I don't even know where to start, but I'll figure it out, you know?
Yeah, I think that's great. And our imagination, we have lots of ideas, don't we? But what
Yeah.
often stops us from turning them into tangible business ideas or anything is
Hmm.
a little bit of direction sometimes. And I guess if you're
Yeah.
using AI as a business partner in a way,
Yeah.
what do I have to do next? and they can tell you what,
Right.
this is what you need to do for your idea to come to fruition. So I think if
Yeah.
that, it's almost like having someone to talk
I feel
to
like
and
it's
bounce
like,
off
well,
ideas.
yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like it's like having like a library in my head or
Yeah.
my hand.
That's brilliant.
And it's everything. Yeah. Her name's Ember. And yeah, we chat back and forth. And she helped me like file my articles of incorporation 2 weeks ago. Like that's like the level they're on now. It's so crazy. Yeah. And I mean, it's just like you said, it's nice to be able to like take these ideas and like do more than just dream, because like most people who I know with ADHD, like we're just dreamers. I mean, it's something like innate built into our DNA. Like we think differently and our minds jump all over the place. And like, yeah, some people might say that's a bad thing, but that also means we think about things that other people don't. And that's huge because that's, how innovation happens. So,
Absolutely.
um, that's been a game changer for me.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. It really is. Now
Yeah.
you're an author and you're a business owner and you have lots of ideas. Can you share, some of that, how used your creativity and put it into practice for business?
I still work a 9 to 5 job and I do this on the side. In my 9 to 5 job, I work in a metal shop and I'm a tool and die engineer. So I see a small portion of like the whole process. I just see a little tiny fraction. When you're a business owner though, you can like literally like take these ideas from just like concepts to planning to execution to like delivery to the public, and you get to see like the whole like life cycle, and it's so valuable. For me it's been valuable because it's been like a huge learning experience. Like I didn't know anything about business before this. Like I don't even think I'd ever written a check before. I mean, um, so just getting like honestly like getting a real world like education in business has just I'm like I consider myself really fortunate for that, and fortunate for like being around in like the time where I am, where if I need it, like I've got help. I've got help if I like hit a roadblock or if I don't know even what to ask for. So running a business is amazing. I really like marketing. That's kind of like one area, and not really like persuading people. I just kind of like the art aspect of it. Oh, sometimes some of the easier like graphic design things where you can just go in and like drag and drop things on and sort of like make newsletters and stuff. That's my favorite stuff to do.
Oh, that's fun. And I guess being a business owner too, you've got fingers in all of the pies. You can be really nimble and change directions quite quickly. Whereas
Yeah.
in a larger organization, as you said, just being a cog in a wheel, perhaps, you're an
Mhm.
intrinsic part, but you can't necessarily make massive change. And so it,
Sure.
it is nice. And I guess with your friend Amber,
Yeah.
yeah, you've now got assistance because we can't be perfect. We can't be brilliant at everything. And so it's really good
No.
for us to do the things that we love and are passionate about, and then have a team, even if it's a virtual team around us, that can help us with the
Yeah.
things we're not so good at. There is a wonderfully balanced business. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
And you're an author. I'd like to hear about your books, please.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I just launched my second book. It's a travel memoir and sort of really like a raw memoir in general. I wrote it after I'd gone through, a long divorce. I'd had depression my whole life. I finally got that under control. So this was a book I wrote in a time in my life where I was like on a major upswing. And there are things, I'm gay, and there are things called gay campgrounds, and they're exactly what they sound like. So it was something that everyone had been telling me to like go check out for like 15 years, and I was like, no air conditioning. Get out of here. But but this time, something had changed, and I was like, okay, I'll go. So I grabbed my pug Max. This is Max.
Oh, hey, Max.
He says, hey. And we packed up the car and we drove to one. And again, like I mean, it was a huge benefit to have ADHD there because it was just massive. You know, it was huge, like, and there was so much to see, so much to do, so many like crazy stories that like I don't know if I would have been able to like cover as much ground as I did without my ADHD. So it's sort of like a superpower if you think about it that way. The book is called Gay Campgrounds by Upton Rand, and it's available now in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle edition. And
Fabulous.
yeah.
Does that cover gay campgrounds throughout the States or in certain
So
areas?
actually initially it did. Initially it was throughout the States. I was speaking with a friend over in the UK and he said, you need to have like an international appendix. Like you have your, you know, you are pigeonholed here into the United States. And I said, you know, you're right. So I went back and I recut the book to have international gay campgrounds in it. So it covers the whole world.
Wow. So is it a directory?
I put an appendix in of all of the major gay campgrounds and their contact information. But the
Fabulous.
book is actually a memoir travel guide. So there's the half where, you know, it's the stories and the memoir portion, but like I said, it's also a travel guide. So I have a packing list in there for, you know, anyone who wants to visit a gay campground, the things they want to bring with them. Every chapter ends with, you know, like key advice. It's just really all about like making face to face, like real connections with real people off dating apps.
Yay to
Yeah.
that. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's brilliant. And how long did it take you to you said you've got a second book. Um,
Yeah.
is that a second edition or a completely new book?
This is a completely new book. So the first book is called Urban Adventures, and the format of it is basically I was fresh out of my divorce and I didn't have any friends. I like, you know, marriage can sort of be like enveloping. So I was like, I need to make friends. And I was like, this is kind of sad. But I typed into Google, where do adults make friends? It shot back some recommendations, but I was like, I wonder if this works. So I looked around and I was like, I didn't see any books on it. I didn't see like any books for, you know, adults making friends. I was like, well, I guess I'll write one. You know, I got to figure this stuff out for me anyways. So I wrote down 20 different categories of spots where people could form like genuine connections with other people in the city. And then I went and tried them. And I tried them all, and some of them were horrible ideas, and some of them were absolutely amazing. And I put the ones that were absolutely amazing in Urban Adventures and shared my stories making connections in those environments.
That sounds great. And do you think those suggestions could work in any urban environment, or is it a specific?
Absolutely. No, that I made sure that with Urban Adventures, I specifically use general areas. So one of the areas that was absolutely great for like striking up conversations and making friends actually is a dog park. Dog parks are great places to make friends. And every major city has one.
Yeah.
So there are all spots like that, you know, things that you're gonna find in any major city that anyone can use and just feel comfortable walking in and just dropping the social armor and risking a hello.
That is so good to hear. And you are not alone with regards to being ADHD and struggling to find friendship groups. That's very common. I think at times we can be quite insular and self-protective because we
Yeah.
know we might overtalk or interrupt or say something outrageous that might not be accepted by others, or we just overthink things. And so having friends, or at least our friend, or just a social environment where you can test the waters and
Yeah,
experiment,
just be accepted.
practice being
Yeah.
social, I think. So wow, that's awesome.
I
Thank
can
you for
totally
sharing.
relate to that.
Yeah.
I know like for me, like I used to be like really scared because like having ADHD, like it has cost me some friends in the past. I've just been like too much sometimes. And like I can totally like see that and like self-confront on that level. Um, but at the same time, as like I get older, like I get more comfortable with who I am. And it's like, yeah, I'm kind of weird. I'm a little quirky, but I'm also pretty amazing. And there are like, groups of friends for like people like us out there. You just gotta, it's a little more work to find them, but they're out there.
Yeah, and we do bring so much to the table. ADHD isn't a one size fits all
No.
difference. I was going to say disorder, but no, I won't. It's but we all are slightly different, even though we may have similar traits. And we can be funny, we can be high energy, we can be highly entertaining, quick-witted,
Hmm.
great,
Yeah.
in an emergency, outside of the box thinkers. There's a whole pile of exceptionally good things.
Oh yeah.
And and often we just need to let that shine, I think, and
Yeah.
not be so scared of ourselves. Because sure, we've got things that trip us up, but also a few strategies out there as well that we can
Hmm.
try and adapt or adopt to help us,
Yeah.
navigate
Julie,
the world.
if someone handed me a pill today, Julie, and they were like, if you take this, your ADHD would disappear. I would have called that pill a blessing at 16 years old. Today, I don't think I'd take it. I like who I am, you know?
And I would be with you. I'm not medicated myself, um, and so maybe I feel things greater because I don't have that moderation. But I wouldn't want to change a thing either, to be honest.
Mhm.
Yeah, it makes us stronger in who we are and the rest.
Um, so right now I'm actually in a relationship with an amazing guy named Brandon. If you're listening, I love you, Brandon. Um, he has ADHD as well. And let me tell you, like two people like dating each other who each have ADHD are like it's like the blind leading the blind. Like we go to like run errands and we'll go down to the car and then he'll be like, "Oh no." And I'll just know immediately. I'll be like, "What'd you forget?" And he'll be like, "I forgot my wallet." And I'll hand him the keys and then I'll go get his wallet and come down. And I'll be like, "Okay, okay, here we go. Here we go." And I'll go to pull out and I'll be like, no. And he'll be like, what? And I'll be like, I forgot my credit card. And it's typically like two or three like back and forth just to get out of the driveway. So, I mean, we have a lot of fun together, but we don't have a lot of fun fast.
If it's any consolation, my husband and I both have ADHD.
Oh,
And
you know then.
yeah, but yes, but we didn't know that when we met. We were both
Okay.
diagnosed just a couple of years ago. So, but what was interesting is we got each other's humor and each other's quirks,
Yeah,
and
you can connect.
we just called it our character types. But underneath it, it
Yeah.
was all ADHD was really shining through. But our sense of humor, sort of a quick tongue, just observational, observing strange things that
Yeah.
everyone else
That's
overlooks.
I think that's what I like too, because it's like yeah, like Brandon, he just like we think similar. Like something can be said, and I haven't known him a terribly long time. We've only been together a few months, and we'll just look at each other and we immediately like just start laughing, because we'll have like almost like a mirrored view of the world with our ADHD. So I'm wondering if you and your husband have like something similar to that.
We do, and also we've developed at different stages in our lives different coping mechanisms because
Okay.
while we can be brilliantly full of energy in
Hmm.
one thing. If we're both down on energy and we're both short-tempered, we, you know, it's not a good look because we could fight
Mhm.
to the death. So we just
Yeah.
don't let that happen. So miraculously, one of us will go, oh, this, I can see where this is going, and basically dissipate
Okay.
disagreements.
All
So
right.
we actually don't have that full-on
Yeah, that's kind of
catastrophe. So we avoid things. Also, he's really, really organized, almost OCD, to combat his own disorganization and also mine. And so he's Mr. Health and Safety. I'll leave,
right.
knives hanging off the kitchen
So
counter, and
does he like walk around the house with like traffic cones, like no
pretty
knives?
much he'll be tucking in drawers and putting away knives and moving the shoes so I don't trip over them. And that's his, bless him, that's his life. He runs around
Hey,
ahead
someone's
of
got to
me.
do it. He's probably keeping you alive over there.
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful, but good on you. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing.
Uh,
I like to kind of end chats with talking about the legacy and what you'd like listeners to take away. If you had a chance to talk to a bunch of strangers, and in this podcast, there'll be a bunch of strangers who are listening, what would you like them to know about your journey or words of encouragement that you'd like to share with them?
different is good. Different is so good. There is nothing, worse in life than being unoriginal, in my opinion. um, we if you're listening to this podcast and you have ADHD, you have, like the curiosity and the creativity to like do amazing things. I can't let it limit me at this point in my life or like define me. It's the wave of who I am and I have to ride it. And it's taken me to amazing places. And I would really like to see everyone ride their wave.
Well, thank you so much, Upton. It's been a pleasure to chat with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I was so happy to be here. ADHD is it's a part of my identity and I am just so ecstatic, that you run this podcast and, you give everyone these incredible resources. Probably a lot of people who are like newly diagnosed and just trying to get a feel for it. So bless you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.